Fellow hobbyists, collectors, and pro heads alike, I want to welcome you again back to my current channel, and that's Predator Collectibles. I'm your host, Glenn Taylor. Now I'm with another artist, a local artist actually, and what was your name again? I'm sorry.
Eddie Price.
Eddie Price. Well, again, the reason I'm here is because Eddie has got this sucker right behind me, and that's the Predator 3D art. Now, why art for you? Why did you decide to do this?
Well, I was if you don't mind the kind of long version, I'll condense it. I was a drug addict and a drug dealer for 18 years. And then, so after nearly 2 decades of that, I got help from people who cared about me and held me accountable at age 35, and I got clean and sober.
Nice.
That was 14 years ago this May. So I always tell people this: I used to exist, now I live. So after I got clean, it was like, I haven't done anything but drugs for almost 2 decades. What is there to live it? So it would be things I would see and I would go, hey, that looks interesting, I'm going to try it. And so I would try new things all the time. And my wife and I went to our first comic book convention a little over 5 years ago.
Which one was that one, if I may ask?
It was, I want to say it was a Heroes and Villains up in Nashville.
Okay.
And I met like Jim Steranko, Tim Townsend, several legendary guys in my view, because I've always collected comics and I've always loved the medium, but I thought it was for other people, not me. I would just always be an avid fan and reader. So I see them doing what I do now, drawing at their table and for people and things like that, and I'm talking to them, kind of picking their brain. Well, this inside voice says, why don't you try this? And it's something new. And then I had this inner argument at age 42. Who am I fooling trying art now? You know, and I'm too long in the tooth, as they say.
Yeah.
And then it was a reply from myself to myself. What about that promise you made to live life to the fullest and say yes to life and opportunity now that you have this second chance to live to begin with? And so I wrestled with that during the show, and then when we left the show to go home, I told my wife, I said, you know, I think I'd like to learn to draw. And her, in her infinite wisdom, said, then do it. You know, like, what's the big deal? So we stopped at our local.
That's awesome, in my opinion. Because you're going through this midlife crisis kind of a situation where it's like, okay, well, what's stopping you?
Right, right. So I said, okay. So we stopped at our local Walmart on the way home from that show and bought a sketch pad, and I thought, these pens look cool. I didn't know, you know, I didn't know equipment and materials, and so I started going online because we're in the digital age of, you know, you can Google anything. So I started looking up how-to videos, and then I found, like, I was amazed to find, like, on YouTube, I could watch Jim Lee draw live and give, or somebody that I hold in high esteem, watch them doing tutorial stuff, you know. And so I'm soaking it up, and I drew about a picture a week because I was real meticulous and slow at it. Well, about 3 weeks after that show, someone who is now my son-in-law.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had an independent comic company out of St. Louis. He's an author. He saw my art through my daughter because they were Skyping each other after that meeting at that show. They were falling in love, you know. And so he saw my art and told my daughter that he would pay our whole way, family-wise, to a show the next weekend in Louisville, Kentucky, and if I would draw fan art at his table. And I've drawn 3 pictures.
You are awesome, dude.
Yeah, Brad, name drop. So I go to the show, and I'm thinking this is the way the comics industry must work. You know, that kind of
networking.
Thing. I had no idea how nuts that was. A month after I go to my first show as a fan, I'm behind the table drawing for fans. And I'm terrified and elated at the same time because these people are requesting crazy stuff. And I'm like, what if I can't do it? I've only drawn 4 pictures. So at the end of that show, long story short, too late, I had this amazing experience where I said, when's the next show? Because I think I want to do this forever. And so it was like, I started off, I did about 4 shows that first year, and then I think I did 7 or 8 the next year. And then I started going off on my own, because by the time I found out I'm going to have a son-in-law, it was one of those things, son-in-law, boss, we can't do both.
Yeah. Conflicting of interest.
Yeah, I'd rather have him as a son-in-law.
Yeah.
And because I love him, and so it was definitely the right move. And after that, it was basically growing the brand, figuring out the business aspect, and then also juggling that with learning to draw, because I was so fresh and so new at it. So here we are. That was October of 2013. And so here we are, March of 2019, and I'm that 3D guy, and it's crazy. I'm living the dream. So
now, see, the other thing is regards to, especially with you at home, I'm glad that you still stuck with it, because I even know that a lot of comic book fans are very meticulous on how a character will look, and I'm glad that you definitely are still, because I think you nailed it quite a bit, actually.
Thank you very much.
Now, in relation to the 3D art you see behind me, you know, I've always wanted my own Predator 3D artwork, especially like you were mentioning before with Hobby Lobby, their 3D artwork, and I just haven't seen it. And yeah, here we go with Eddie Price doing it for me.
Right.
So now, I mean, this is just phenomenal. I love how you did all this.
Thank you so much.
And then we have Thanos with the lights. Now, why did you decide to do the lights?
Well, I've always been a Thanos fan. I actually, in my modest comic collection back when I was a kid, and I didn't really know the value of it, that it would end up being today, but I had the first appearance of Drax and Thanos in Iron Man. I had that issue, and it was a hand-me-down. It was one of the first comics I was ever given, and it was a little tattered, you know, dog-eared. Right. But I reread those comics over and over and over, and then the Infinity War came out in the 80s, and I was like, ooh, you know, and so I kind of became a fan all over again of Thanos.
Right.
And then
that nostalgia film.
Oh yeah, and then Infinity War comes out, you know, the movie, and I thought they did such a fantastic job of making Thanos a pitiable character.
Yeah.
You understand the reason he's not evil to be evil. He's
at least not in his own eyes, anyway.
Exactly. He thinks what he's doing is right, and that's one reason. Like Magneto, that's one reason I think he's such a great, compelling character. He's doing what he thinks is the right thing. He's just the only one that don't realize it's wrong. So I thought they did a fantastic job with Infinity War. And so then it was like, you know what? I've been toying with the idea of using LED lights in my 3D art. I just hadn't pulled the trigger yet, and I thought this is the perfect one to do. And then it was a whole new experimentation. Just when I think I've got the formula down for how to make a 3D piece, there's a new challenge in it. And this one was lighting.
Now you're seeing more options available to you.
Yes, and so I actually had somebody looking at that Predator one yesterday. And he saw the lights on that, and he said, "Can you turn the lights on that Predator one?" And I went, "There's no light. That's the only one I've done with lights on it so far." And it cracked me up, and I would never have thought that people would think, "Oh, these all light up," but that's the only one that's on. You know what I mean? And what I do with each piece is I do 10 of every one, like that Predator.
Is that your default number that you go for 3D? Okay.
And what it is to make it more rare for one thing, but then like the Predator one, like the palm fronds and things will be different every time.
Right.
Because I do them one at a time.
Right.
And so it depends on what mood I'm in, composing what the picture's going to look like. It's always different. So out of the 10 in the series, no 2 are alike. For example, the Thanos, the gems will be rearranged, the order of them, every time.
Oh, okay.
And I've had people, I had a young man come up to me today, and he goes, your gemstones are in the wrong order. And I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah, I told you. That's why Marvel comic book characters and collectors, they're like, no, that's wrong.
I said, are you sure about that? He goes, it doesn't look like the movie. And I'm like,
oh, really? Come on, dude.
Yeah, I said the first one did, and I said the second one didn't. It looked like the 80s Infinity order. I said, in that one I just did at random.
So it's one of those, like, you got to do your research before you criticize another artist.
Oh, it's so funny. I call that a teachable moment, you know?
Right.
And he actually apologized. He was like, I'm sorry. And I said, it's cool, man. I said, it's cool. It's all good.
Yeah, you got to learn one way or another, right?
Right. But you get those that are, you can do it two ways in this business at conventions. You can either use it as a teachable moment or you can be a jerk.
Right.
And jerks don't get repeat customers.
No, they don't. You're not getting my business if you're a jerk.
Teachers do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's something, I always say this at shows. My motto at the end of the day is I can't afford to have a bad day. Because I've had, you know, they say never meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed.
No, I was never disappointed. I met all kinds of people as well as you know at home, and you're actually going to become my hero now.
Oh, well,
so
you're too kind. Well, you know, I've met some people, I'm like, I can't wait to meet them, and then it was such a letdown after I met them, and they were probably just having a bad day. I mean, this can be a very tiring way to spend a weekend.
Especially, I mean, this is only, this particular event where I am right now, this is only 2 days.
Right.
So majority of, like, say, San Diego Comic Con, that's 5 days.
Yeah.
And other big ones
Dragon
are now
Con's
become
4
days,
Yeah, so there's a lot of bing, bang, boom, you know, get in, get out. And so I've caught people when they were tired and they weren't too friendly.
Yep.
And I try to take that in stride, but I always, if I have to go, hey, how are you? I'm going to make sure I do that because I want them to come away with a good experience when they visit my table. Because, frankly, people don't know who I am for the most part yet, like they do all these other guys like Mike Grill, who's one of my heroes that's across the way, and guys like that. And so to make my mark, part of it's being just a kind human being, not just a good artist.
Absolutely.
You know?
Staying humble, down rooted, and that's the way it is. Now, of course, with this guy behind me, this is number 4 out of 10, and I love the LED spec or lights, because if you wanted to, you can do a helmet version of this, where you could put
with the laser, the tri-laser. Yeah, oh yeah. See, now you're giving me ideas.
Hey, as long as I get one, that's all I care about. Well, Eddie, how can anybody find you on social media? Do you have a Facebook page or an Instagram?
I have, if you go to my website, eddieprice.net, links to my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I have I have a Redbubble store and a TeePublic store for shirts, like these are one of my shirts.
Okay.
And then, or you can just do hashtag that3dguy, and you can find me that way.
And I'll make sure I'll leave all the links down in the description below in case you guys are interested. I think that 3D artwork is a fantastic form in relation to media format and everything like that. And I think you definitely nailed it, man.
Thank you so much.
Well, again, Eddie, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you taking your time out, and I hope these do sell well for you.
Thank you. We've had a great weekend. Huntsville's one of our favorite shows to be at every year. Shout out to Jeremy Long and his crew. They treat us good every year, so we're looking forward to coming back next year.
Good. Well, and guys, again, I want to thank you as well for watching this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification. Hit that like as well. And until next time, happy hunting.
Rock on!